Welcome to PHP Podcast. I'm Mike.
And this is Orlando. And we're on episode 208.
Yeah. And we're back in the studio, which is
Underground
really nice.
bunker.
It's really nice because, even as I was editing that last podcast, making sure, all the graphics were good and the audio sounded good, I'm like, just the quality is not the same. And again, we talked about it, like people get it, there's probably going to be lots of times in the podcast where we're going to have to do on the road. We're busy. We got things going on. But there's something, nice about just going back to our roots and being here, sitting here and talking. And yeah,
there's been one time I really felt like that was when we went to eBay Open. Do you remember that? And we had contacted eBay ahead of time and said, hey, by the way, we have this podcast. We would love to be able to have something eBay in the back, be in amongst all the exhibits or something. And they're like, sure, no problem. And then we showed up and there was no room for us in the end. Like we had to do it from our hotel room and the lighting was low and
it was fine.
We provided content still, but it was one of those where it's just like, I understood that, PHP Podcast, like we haven't arrived yet.
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite podcasts of all time is a group of guys that talk and they're literally at a pub and like you can hear all the pub stuff in the background.
That's what drives me crazy. I do not like that.
It's a good one. Yeah,
no, because I've heard some and people are dining and you hear the clanking in the back and I'm like, that's so annoying to me.
It's real.
It's
I like
real.
it.
Okay.
Let us know. Would you mind if we were in a pub while we were doing the podcast? If we were bringing you the same content.
I don't even think I go to a pub if we're not doing a podcast. It would just be for the podcast. So now we're changing things up a little bit here. We've already done some changes, being that we are now dropping episodes on Mondays and Thursdays temporarily for now, maybe permanent, but temporarily for now. So we appreciate you guys and your patience. I know some of you hit us on the DMs, or like kept hitting the refresh on the YouTube and nothing came up. And so from now on, Mondays and Thursdays, we had to do some shifting and hopefully maybe we'll get back to the original schedule. I do like the original one better still, but we'll see how this plays out for a little bit. But
you're just a creature of habit. You'll like the change.
Oh, that is true. That is very true. Now, I will say, though, that from this point forward and probably the new year, I think we're just going to be doing mainly update episodes. Right? We'll do our last level up review, but then we'll do some update because there's so much going on. This is why this episode normally would be a theme episode. Now, we are going to bring in Hustles of the Week into our update episodes like they were the theme episodes, but not this time around.
We'll swap out BOLOs and Hustles.
Yes, correct.
Like our old school.
We've run out of BOLOs. There's just no more to share.
There's too many BOLOs.
No, there is too many BOLOs. So, all right, what's been going on with you during this time? I'm interested.
Yeah, you'd be even more interested if I disclose right now what it was, but I'll tell you off air.
Okay.
But I have for a while now. I've been like thinking of other ways to make money, right?
Okay.
And so I've been like researching stuff, and I tell my wife, I'm like, well, what about this? And I'd come up with an idea and it would be like, nope, that's not a good idea. And she'd give me all the good reasons why it's not a good idea. And she was always right. And finally I came up with one, and it is a bizarre, probably the most bizarre business strategy or business idea I've ever had. And I originally was like thinking, okay, time, energy, how much I'm going to put into it versus how much I'm going to get out. And then I'm like, is there money in this? And I started looking up on eBay and I'm like, holy cow, like, this is a niche and it's a very profitable niche, and it's going to be stuff that I'm able to kind of produce, as it were, on my own. So it's like a consumable, but I'm going to be providing the consumable, and it's got lots of other avenues that can open up from it. So I'm really interested in giving this a shot. I think it's going to be probably a good 4 to 5 months before I'm actually able to start making my first sales. But I'm really interested to see if this works.
Like private labeled?
No, well, it's weirder than that. Like I'm telling you, I had to really think outside the box, and I'm really excited about this because, for the last couple of years, I found a few niches that I'm good at, and I sell some things. I've got my Craigslist ads, and I bring in money through those things. But I've been looking for like, what's my gold mine, right? Like, what's my thing? Like we bring a lot of people on our interviews. And they have a lot of times like they have a thing and it sets them apart, right? Some people are just kind of generic, but like other people have like, this is my thing. I do this and I kind of am the king in this area, or I at least know like a lot about this, and this is what sets me apart from everybody else. And I think I might have found potentially my thing. And if not, it at least will be an interesting adventure. And if it doesn't work out, I'll share
Okay. So you'll share if it doesn't, but if it does, you won't share.
If it does work out, I got to at least wait until I've established myself and I'm not going to kill the market. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
Yeah.
And obviously, we have multiple eBay stores, so this isn't going to be a public one.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, it's interesting. I'm about to get philosophical for a moment. So, I've thought about private label for the longest time. And for whatever reason, there's nothing that intrigues me about it. And I think it's kind of related to our thought processes. So this is what I mean. So you're just talking about you're going to create something, like you like creating something. Well, you're kind of creating something, right?
Kind of.
Okay. Kind of. Obviously, Mike's going to tell me off. Well, maybe he'll tell me off the podcast. Maybe he won't. He didn't even tell me before the podcast. But Mike's major is in English, right? And you like writing, I think, right? You like creative stories or whatever that is. I don't like writing. Like I like retelling. Like my major was in history ed. And so I have a master's in history. So I enjoy retelling stories. Like I enjoy reselling goods, right? I find the treasures, whether it be in the classroom, I retell them, or whether it be online, I resell them.
Interesting.
Right?
I retell and then I resell.
No, I'm serious. Like I thought about this because I was contemplating this the other day. Like, why don't I go that route? It would seem that would be the easier route after spending a ton of money and losing, all kinds of time until I find the right product. But I just don't. Even right now that I'm doing a ton of Amazon, I love the hunt. I love it. I could be doing this for weeks on end. Like I'm so sad that at the time that this episode drops, right, it's going to be December 9th. That means we only have 11 good days of Q4.
Wow.
And that makes me sad. Like I'm already getting sad that this craziness is about to end. So
I kind of want to just show you a picture and not give you any other context than that, and just kind of see what your
so you got to hop over on the YouTube.
No, I'm not showing it. I'm not showing them. I'm showing you just I know. Your interaction.
What?
Exactly right.
I don't know. Okay. Well, I think it's doable.
No. Trust me. There's not only is it doable, but it's this is going to be legit.
Okay.
Trust me.
All right. Well, hey, that is the beauty of eBay, and that's all I'm going to say.
Isn't that the craziest thing you've ever thought?
Let us know in the well, okay. Let's keep it PG.
Let's have your guess. Let's have your guess down below.
Guess what the item is. Wow. Okay. See, this is what I love about reselling is that there's so much opportunity and so many different options.
That's right.
All right. Now, have you been able to go any thrifting or garage sales or all that? You've been kind of, all into your new idea.
Yeah.
And
there's been a lot of back end on this. Not really. I've gone to a few thrift stores and there just hasn't been much. And right now, even garage sales, I went to a couple garage sales. I didn't go out of my way to do garage sales, but I went to a few, and it just, I didn't find anything. It was one of those weekends where it just was kind of like a slow weekend, but it was okay because our sales are still high. We're still listing things. We're getting through our death pile and pretty much have nothing left there. But our sales have been kind of pulling us through. And right now we're just in that really unique time again with the COVID and where we're at in California. They just started another like official lockdown. And so it's getting more difficult to source through thrift stores and garage sales. And so it's going to be, okay, so now I'm going to pivot back to sourcing through eBay, sourcing through local offers. And probably over the next couple of weeks, I'll make that transition.
I can't believe we're here again.
I know. It's crazy, but
it is. I mean, I'm not trying to get political into any of this and why it happened or what's going on. I'm just kind of a little bit in shock that we're in this again. And it's worse to me because I think the first go around we're all able to understand. I mean, this is why there's all these movements within California that are anti-lockdown right now. Yeah. And it's understandable. And but it's also, I see the other side too. So it's yeah, I get what you're saying. A couple of our thrift stores have to close because of not a couple. I know one that had to close because of sickness around here, and our stores actually here are being pretty stringent. Like the one we go to, like every time I drive by it, there's a line.
There's a line, yeah.
Every single time I walk by, And so I'll get into. You want to share some more? Or do you want me to jump into? All right. So, I experienced the same thing as far as lines. I've been doing all kinds of retail arbitrage. I have not been in a thrift store or at a garage sale probably in over a month at the least. And remember we had a discussion that I was going to actually still go to garage sales. Yeah, no, it's not going to happen. And I can actually, looking at the numbers, there's no way that Amazon sourcing the stuff I'm finding will compete with the amount of profit I can make at a garage sale, unless it's like some mega find. But even then, the velocity of the sales, it doesn't compete. So I have to keep doing Amazon. But it's been a lot of fun. The van that I've had has made all the difference in the world. And, I had a lot of people in the DMs. Actually, I had a childhood friend of mine, a really good friend of mine. He's like, bro, you got to buy a van. I'm like, I don't know. I got to get a property. And it's, what's kind of odd is and he listens to this podcast, so he's going to hear this, but I find it weird that like friends listen to our podcast, right? Because I don't know. It's kind of like I like having my life separate. Like people, I'm kind of in a place now that I like it that people don't know I'm a reseller. Like I don't go like, hey, I'm Orlando from Pure Hustle Podcast. Like, because that means nothing. I mean, when one of my friends in college came to me.
No, that's how you should introduce yourself from now on when you meet people. Yeah, okay. Like, I just want to let you know, I'm Orlando from Pure Hustle Podcast.
Which means absolutely nothing, which cracks me up.
I'm Mike. You might have heard of me. Got a YouTube channel. It's kind of a big deal.
4K subscribers, which we're thankful for everybody. Don't get us wrong. We're thankful for everyone. But, I mean, it's just a reminder to me of how grateful I am for all the people that do listen to, that stay in, that support us through buymeacoffee.com and just, the constant, just love out there for us. And so, this journey, this Q4 has been insanity. I am so exhausted. I couldn't even get my FBA shipments out today. And I'm kind of saddened by that, but the velocity of things that are able to sell so quick, I know that even if I wait a day and it just checks in a day later, it's all going to sell within 30 minutes of it checking in. So I'm not super worried about, and now if it was, let's say the 12th, we're getting kind of a little bit too close that the items might not check in time to sell. But this is what I wanted to share. So this van has me sourcing like crazy. So this past 2 weekends, I drove this past weekend, I know I drove at least 1,500 miles, probably about 2,000 miles. It was a lot. It was so much that I kept driving up California, and then I kept looking. I go, oh, it's gonna take me 6 hours to get back home. Like I thought it was only gonna be an hour and a half, maybe 2, maybe 3. But what I'm noticing is this. So always be careful retail arbitrage and what you share. And I'm a big believer in, I would not share a BOLO unless you kind of had to, like unless you were in a Discord group and it was a requirement, or you're amongst friends and you're sharing stuff amongst friends. I'm always a big fan of having an inner circle. I know this year my circle got smaller because of COVID and a lot of people that we would communicate with, we just haven't, because it's not that we've fallen off and our friendships have fallen apart. It's just because of COVID we just haven't hung out as much, and it's kind of interesting because. We get hit up in the DMs with people all the time sharing BOLOs with us. And sometimes, I'm kind of thrown back like, whoa, like, why are they sharing that with us? And a lot of people, we appreciate you guys. You guys tell us, hey, you guys share so much with us. We thought we'd help you with this. And I am always grateful for that. But sometimes I get those DMs where people are fishing, right? And they share something with me and I feel really bad because I'm not going to reciprocate. Because it was an uninvited share. Do you know what I mean? But and I don't know. Am I just like canceling us right now?
Yeah, all those nice people who've been sending stuff are like, you know what? I'm never sending anything again.
I'm not saying that. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of the fishing.
Maybe we should give our BOLOs to all the people who are subscribed on Buy Me a Coffee. We'll just drop
Oh, that's called a Discord group, Mike.
No, but it's not on Discord. It's a Buy Me a Coffee group.
Oh, there you go.
It's the coffee shop.
There you go. But it's funny because sometimes I get sent stuff and I'm like, I totally know about it. Like I already know about it. So it also gives me an advantage because I'm like, oh, all right, I need to be careful now, right? Because I know certain individuals part of a Discord group or whatever. And so if that got shared and I share and I agree with it, then it's like, whew, it's just crazy. But I wanted to say this. This was my point. I don't even know else. Maybe we need to edit all that out. But my point here was there is so much out there. There is stuff I'm like, I had no idea. And I've been in certain stores and I have scanned those stores and I still miss some of these. So what I want to encourage all of you, if you're listening to this, it is December 9th. There is so much opportunity over the next 11 days.
Is it too late for me to go out and try and get into the Amazon game?
I think yes, because you didn't qualify for the merchant fulfilled, right? If you qualified for the merchant fulfilled, you could be doing merchant fulfilled. If you want to try FBA, you could, but it might not check in on time. You're probably gated. But I think on the eBay side, it's still doable. Now, I will throw out this. I have the same products on one of my eBay stores as I do on Amazon. And I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but it's crickets on the eBay side. It's just there's no movement. It's not happening. But on the Amazon side, it's insanity. Right? So much so that I actually have to put my item out of stock on certain evenings because I just don't have the time to pack the items. I'm trying to do FBA. I'm trying to do it like eBay. Here's the thing about eBay. You're saying sales have been good, right? I'm not saying this. I'm hoping I'm not discouraging anybody, but I haven't listed in 2 or 3 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, and I'm making more sales than I was a month ago. Right? And this is just where we're at in e-commerce right now, in the sense that, you know, we had mentioned about waiting in line, and with retail arbitrage, it's been heinous. I mean, I think the reason that these sales are so good is, especially in California, you know, some of these stores, they're bigger stores, and like we can only allow 70 people in. So I show up and I'm waiting 20 or 30 minutes outside of a store. Then I get in the store, I find the items I'm looking for. Then I'm waiting another 20, 30 minutes in line. Now, the funny thing is, well, it's not funny, but the line has nothing to do with social distancing, has nothing to do with preventing COVID, and the cashiers don't move any faster. So it's been kind of like, I understand why the consumers, why buyers are buying online, because that's a lot of time, right? That's why I have no problem charging the prices I charge for items, because I'm creating a service, right? I'm spending a lot of time out there. I'm putting myself out on the line to try to connect buyers with the items that they're looking for. But this is what I figured out during this trip. So I kept sourcing. I'm like, I could do this. I could do this nonstop. Thank goodness I have kids, because if I was single at this point in time, and well, I am single, but if I was single without children, this is all I would do. And I know a lot of people that do that. I get it now. I get it why this is what people do. Like there are some people on Q4, once November hits, they just stay in hotels for 2 months and they just source. They take that van and they ship out FBA shipments, and they're doing a merchant fulfilled on the road, a little bit of eBay on the road. Like, I get it, because there is so much opportunity out there right now. Now, I did have some interesting stories. But before I jump into the interesting stories, do you have any interesting stories you want to share?
Yeah. So today actually is when this happened. So it was kind of interesting. So my wife sends me a message, and she calls me. And it's unusual for her to call me when I'm at work. So I'm like, uh-oh, what's going on, right? And it just so happened to be, it was kind of like in between classes. So I had a few minutes to talk. So I answered the phone, and she's like, did you see the eBay message? That's how she starts it, right? And I'm like, oh no. I'm like, no. And she goes, I think we're being scammed. And I'm like, oh my gosh, right? Like, I'm panicking at this point. And
we need sound effects in this podcast.
She says it's with the books, and we had just sold. I don't know if we talked about it.
No, we haven't. You shared with me, but we can talk about it on the podcast.
I had an incredible book sale, and I'll talk about it more depth at another time. Maybe next time we do Hustle of the Week. But it was like a $600 plus sale, right? So it was a big sale, and so my mind is immediately like, oh no. But then she says the books, the bookends that we sold, and I'm like, okay, it's bookends, right? Which is like a $40 sale.
Whatever. Yeah. $40, who cares?
Yeah. So already I'm like, okay, it's better. But I'm still like, okay, we're getting scammed. Like, what's happening here? And the person sent us a message with a picture of different bookends. And they're like, this is what I received. This isn't what I ordered. you need to send me the actual item or give me a full refund. And I'm like, okay, the bookends that we sold were like, it was like metal bookends. They're really nice, really heavy. Metal bookends that were books, right? So it looked like a couple of books, and like one, like some of them were open, and it was like they were like pewter colored. It was kind of cool looking. And the bookend that they showed me was a like resin violin bookend, and I'm like, this is impossible, right? Like we don't even have anything like that. We've never had any item like that in stock. There's no way that's what they received from us, right? There's no way. And so I'm like, all right. And then my wife's like, okay, I already messaged them back and said, are you sure this is what you received? Or are you telling me this is what you received? And I'm like, okay, just let me answer the next time they respond back. So I'm teaching my class, and she texts me and she says, okay, they messaged back. And so I look at the message, and it says, yes, this is what I received. So then we look it up. This item that we sold hasn't even arrived to them yet.
Oh, come on now.
Right? Like it shows that it's coming in the next like 2 days that they'll get it. And so we responded back, and I said, well, I think either you've messaged the wrong seller, or you bought multiple items or bought something from another person, because our item hasn't actually arrived to you yet. And we've never had the item that you pictured in our inventory. So the good news is you will be receiving the bookends that you ordered from us. And then they responded back and said, oh, sorry, I bought a bunch of these for my kids' teachers. You're right. This is the wrong situation. Sorry about that. Right. Sorry for the confusion. But I'm thinking, like, how do you not know you bought that like from somebody else? Right. Like, how do you click on the wrong thing? I mean, it's possible. Maybe they're buying gifts for teachers and they accidentally bought one that they didn't think they bought or something. But either way, it was like a panicked moment of like, are we like, what is going to happen here? How do we prove to eBay that, no, I guarantee you we sent them the right thing, because we've never even seen this thing they sent us a picture of. I've never in my life seen it until they sent me that picture.
See, and this is where I'm a big believer that you can't, but your reputation is what saves you. But so your feedback, your top rated seller, all that stuff.
Yeah. And I know all that stuff would have been okay for us, and we probably would have been fine. But then I looked at this person, and they have like several hundred feedback, all positive as a buyer. And I'm like, that's why I was like, I don't think this is being scammed. I think this is like some kind of mix up.
You made the right call.
But even still, even if it was like a mix up and they like accused us, like I didn't want the nightmare of it to deal with it when it's like, yeah, how do you prove? Like if I were to send something and they show me a picture of this is what I received, and I know that it's not true. Like I know I didn't send you that thing you received. So it's one thing if something breaks, okay, maybe people can scam through that. But yeah, I mean, what do? You send, I send you something, and then you tell me that you got something completely different. That's a tough one to prove, because it's just my word versus their, and then it's just, like you said, reputation. But yeah, there's kind of like a roller coaster of like my heart almost stopped when I thought that it was this big $600 sale. And then it was like, okay, it's just a $40 sale, not the end of the world. But then it's like, are we being scammed? Like, are we going to have to fight with eBay to deal with this person over negative feedback on a $40 item? And then, okay, maybe it was just a misunderstanding. They apologized. Okay, things are okay, right? So it's just this like up and down and up and down. But yeah.
At least it worked out.
It worked out.
That's good. Okay, so I have a lot of stories. I'm not going to, obviously it's not going to be the Orlando hour.
You're going to share them all?
No, I'm not going to share them all. But so I'm so thankful for the reselling community. Like I shared this IG story. I stayed at all these hotels, but I'm telling you, this last trip, it was some shady hotels. And I'm thinking about, I run these scenarios in my head. Like I have a van that probably has $5,000 net of inventory. But at the same time, let's say somebody tries to steal. Like they break into my van. Like, what are they going to do with all the toys? So there's another part of me. And somebody on Instagram had suggested I put a tarp. So shout out for, suggestion. Actually, a few people had shared the same idea. And I thought, that's a good idea. So I usually like to pack FBA shipments and send them out when I'm on the road. So I have more room in the van. But the beauty of the van is so huge that it didn't matter. Right. But I gotta tell you, there was one night where I purposely went to Walmart. I bought a massive tarp. I covered everything. And then at the hotel I was at, I backed up the van to a tree. So they couldn't even open the back doors. Like they could open the sliding door, but there was another car next to the sliding door. And I'm like, hey, if you really want to take my toys, then you can go for it.
It's like taking toys from Orlando.
Yeah, but you know what? You know me. I have trust issues, so I'm also going. I wonder if any resellers like ever peek into my van. Right? You're looking at me like, Orlando, you need therapy. But it happened. Now, it didn't happen exactly that way. So I'm sourcing this last go around. Actually, this was yesterday. I don't know. My days are blurred. Yeah, it was yesterday. So I'm having trouble finding a certain item, and it's super. Remember, I'm going after whales. Super profitable item. The people that are that we've actually met these individuals. I haven't shared with you who they, but we've met them at one time, and I don't know if they're still listening to the podcast, but if you are, shout out to you. And so I find this item finally. Like it took me about 6 to 8 stores, but I'm like, what is going on? Like I thought I caught the restock. So a few weeks ago I found this item and I bought out like everything in Southern California, LA, San Diego, Central California, like almost into the Bay Area. That's how far I drove, and I bought out everything. And then a week ago, I started noticing a restock, and so I started making the rounds, and I hit stores and stores and stores and stores and stores and stores and stores. And then this last go round, I'm like, wait, like what happened? Does somebody know? Right, and so I started. So I'm like, no, maybe it's just that some stores are getting restocks and we're not. So I get this message in the DMs. I'm outsourcing, and I'm like, usually I catch DMs, and if I'm in the zone, like I'll answer later on in the evening. But I get this like, hey, you're taking all my and whatever it was, and I'm like, they're like, LOL, da da da, and I'm like, wait a second, I know what's going on. And so they message me, and they're like, hey, why don't you just let me know what stores you've been to, so I'm not wasting my time, and da da da. And I said, well. I messaged back, and I wasn't trying to be snarky. I just said, hey, if I told you all the stores I went to, we're both going to end up at the same stores. And, that's not going to help any of us out. And they said, yeah, we've been making a killing on this product, da 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 da. And I was like, and what ended up happening was they saw me at a store sourcing.
Nice.
And this kind of item is something I had to, like, some stores, they don't let you walk out with carts.
Mm.
So I had to, like, carry all this stuff out. And I'm like, there you have it. Like you just never know who is watching. You never know what is happening. And so, I mean, it was great to converse with somebody else that knew about that bolo.
Yeah.
Right. Because you could like, haha, this is how many I found. This is what I have. Da da da. But at the same time, like there's something to be said about not being on social media, being incognito, being, I'm a pretty recognizable guy. Like, unfortunately, my goatee has gotten to the point that it's obnoxious. And so when I go to other retail stores, they're like, oh, yeah, we remember you. You're the guy with the beard. Or, the most annoying one I get is, hi, Santa. Ha, ha, ha. Like seriously? Like, come on. How many times do I need to hear Santa this season? Now, the other thing.
You can start charging. You say you want a picture? $5.
There you go. Now, the other thing that's been interesting is that I wonder how many employees get into the RA game. And the reason I say is this is because I had 2 encounters. I had one where, I don't know if she was just, trying to dig for more info, or, she legitimately was trying to find something for her niece and nephew. Mm-hmm. She's like, oh, that's really cool. What are you going to do with that? And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I have a seller's permit. Like, what I'm going to do with this? Like, who uses a seller's permit for charity? Like, you can't do that. And she's like, hey, do you mind if I take a picture of this? I'm like, ah. And I tried
to charge for pictures, man.
I try to play it cool because I don't want people to know, because the more excitement or the more resistant I get, people want to know more.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm like, yeah, no problem. It's a pretty awesome thing. You should check it out. Da, da, da. And then I went to another store and the cashier goes, oh, you found these? I'm like, yeah, I saw the restock and I just picked them up. They're like, oh, yeah, these are going for big money. I'm like, oh, really? How much? Like, I'm just, playing it. Because the question I get, which drives me crazy, is always like, so how much are you going to resell these for? Like, I'm not going to tell you. Like, if I told you, I might as well not come back to your store anymore because you're going to source these. You're going to call your aunt, your uncle Bob you're not related to. You're going to call somebody and they're going to come in and source them. So she goes, oh, yeah, I know how much these are going for. I went on Amazon and I looked them up. These are crazy prices. Maybe I should just start doing this. I'm like, And so I'm like,
yep, creating competition.
Well, I have no choice, though. You know what I mean? There's no way to, unless I mean, it's pretty obvious when I'm picking up 10 or 20 of the same item.
Just give them a Pure Hustle podcast business card and say, check out the podcast. Reselling is a great way. It'll change your life. You won't have to work behind a cashier anymore or a cash register anymore. And, this could be the start of something new for them. You like helping people.
I do like helping people, but I think the comfort I took in it all is that I'm ungated in a lot of stuff, and the stuff that I am sourcing is very much gated.
Yeah.
And you can't do merchant fulfilled at this point in time. And FBA is a process. Like it is a learning curve. Now, I believe everyone can do it. It's just getting in there and making those first 2 shipments and just sending them out. But I got to tell you, out on the road, like I'm watching my 6. Like who's out there? Who's looking at me now? That's normal for Orlando. Like I'm telling you, I went to some parts. I literally slept with one eye open because I'm like, I hope I'm good the next day.
See, on the last episode, we decided that you were the optimist and I was the pessimist, but I'm starting to reconsider.
Well, because I also know that human nature doesn't bend towards good.
That's true.
So, I've always when I come in and I have to use those luggage carts. Did I say luggage? Luggage. Okay, sorry. Thought I said something different. And I'm making literally 10 or 15 trips full of inventory on those carts. I think to go what's it going to take for the gal at the front desk who maybe has ties to the mafia to call somebody and go, hey, yo, room 103 stacked with inventory. And then the moment I go out to grab a burrito, I come back and it's all gone. Right? Am I? Let me know. Am I full of fear or is that legitimate?
I mean, anything can happen, man. You send your stuff out in a shipment and the truck burns down. You know what I mean? Anything could happen, but you can't live in fear.
No, but that's different.
Take precautions.
That's different than me coming back to my room. You imagine you have 5K of inventory in your hotel room and you come back and for an $8 burrito, you risked all your inventory. So that's why I'm doing Uber Eats from now on.
Crazy.
No,
man.
We're not sponsored by them, by the way. So, but you can if you want. All right. Anyways, thought I'd share all that. All right. Are we ready? Actually, before we do that, you know what I've been using on the road?
What have you been using on the road, Orlando?
Obviously, we're going to take a minute to talk about one of our affiliate sponsors, Skull Shaver.
Yeah.
I've been using Skull Shaver for my dome, and it's helped me keep that clean look. And so I can actually, negotiate better deals at some of these stores.
Yeah. I mean, presentation is really important. And I'm sure that if you're trying to do some of these deals or you're going around with all of this stuff and you looked, your hair was growing out and it looked terrible, people might be thinking you're the one stealing it. Right. And so by keeping the dome nice and shaved down, it's like, wow, this is a very presentable man. He must use Skull Shaver. So if you're not using Skull Shaver yet and you need to, and if you need to, I mean, you're lying to yourself if you're lying to yourself and that, right? A lot of people need and aren't using. It's the best product. It's amazing. Pick up a Skull Shaver and use promo code PURE and you will get a nice little discount. So yeah.
And there's enough time to get that expedited shipping to send that loved one that special Christmas dome shaving look. Yeah. So also, hey, buymeacoffee.com/pure hustle. Thank you. A lot of you guys, after the last episode, just signed up for the yearly membership, boom, just like that.
Nice.
So we are grateful for that. Thank you so much. And, there's still an opportunity.
Welcome to the coffee shop.
Welcome to the coffee shop. All right. So if you want to say thank you in a monetary way and sign up for our membership, hopefully we're able to get enough support that we can start doing more on the podcast in the coming year. Again, buymeacoffee.com/pure hustle. Just for less than $1 an episode, $5 a month. You can become a member of Pure Hustle Podcast. Again, our content is 100% free. This is just to allow us to be able to do more. So again, buymeacoffee.com/pure hustle. And you can sign up for that membership. Now, if you've been following us on social media, we are Pure Hustle Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and what's the other one? Am I missing something?
TikTok.
That's right. TikTok. By the way, all you that came over from TikTok, we appreciate you. TikTok's been rough lately. I'm not gonna lie. And I'm looking. Most resellers have not posted on TikTok in a minute.
Yeah, I think TikTok. Maybe it was a flash in the pan.
I don't think it is, man. It's still huge. It is a monumental force. So we need to be on there more. We will be TikToking more here soon. We're also Pure Hustle Cast on Twitter. We are Pure Hustle Cast on Twitter. You can always give us a call, 619-738-1170. That's 619-738-1170. Or shoot us an email, purehustlepodcast@gmail.com. That's purehustlepodcast@gmail.com. And as always, thank you for all the iTunes reviews. I thought I would share a couple. Are you okay if I share a couple?
Sure.
You could have said no. I'm just saying because
what's that going to make me? No. Do not share the stuff that people have taken time to write to encourage us. We do not want to thank them and share that with others.
But seriously, and so we're at 363. My hope is by the new year we could be at 400. So I know maybe that's a little much, but I think it'd be awesome. We could be at 400.
It's like 37 more. I mean, if you're listening right now and you haven't gone over to iTunes, and we always talk about the algorithm on eBay. For podcasts, the algorithm is iTunes. It's the monolithic site that kind of determines whether or not your podcast will be successful. So the more reviews, the more likely our content will be found by others. And that really helps us out. So please put a review. That's very, very helpful. Plus, it's just encouraging. Orlando and I read these and it makes us want to keep doing what we're doing.
All right. So a couple here. Here's from Roger That 88. Said, Mike and Orlando do not drop tons of information on exactly what they are selling. What they do drop is knowledge. The information you'll gain from these podcasts is more valuable than the details of what they sell. And that's what we've always been about, right? We've been about teaching you how to instead of what to get, right? Because there's always going to be the what. But if you know how to do the how, you're going to be far better off. On top of that, they still give you items to be on the lookout for, our BOLOs, and info on big sales. Any reseller at any stage can benefit from reselling. I appreciate hearing that. From listening. I've been flipping items on the site since I was 16. Wow. Reselling snacks and drinks in homeroom when I was in school, local pickups on Craigslist, Amazon, yard sales, eBay. These guys have helped me zero in on new items to flip and the tactics to source them. Thank you. Highly recommend. Appreciate that. That means a lot to me because sometimes I'm wondering, do we have veteran resellers that listen, right? Because, there's a certain point where you know a lot, but there's only so much more you can know, So I appreciate that. All right, let me read this last. I'm sorry if I skipped over somebody. There's so many good ones. So this is from Lexi GZZ. Said, don't miss all the reseller value. Started listening to this podcast earlier this year, and it didn't take long to find value in it. Every episode, I find a tip, trick, advice, nugget I can easily apply to my reselling. The hosts are the perfect balance of informed, entertaining, and inspiring. So nice. There are level up reviews, which are my personal favorite. Who knew?
Yeah, man.
Do you remember when we were going to do these back in the day? And our listens were kind of down in the beginning. And now they're getting they're toe to toe with all the other episodes.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna keep doing them. So said if you're interested in reselling or eBay, this should definitely be on the top of your podcast list. It's on mine. So we appreciate every single one of our listeners there. Everybody who follows on social media. Every dime that I spend on buying me a coffee or a t-shirt. Hey, by the way, t-shirts, we're out of larges. So we're gonna have to restock those. But if you have anybody that doesn't wear a large who needs a Christmas gift, here you go. So Pure Hustle Podcast shirts are available.
Yeah, limited time only.
All right, enough of the selling. But I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much. Because seriously, and on the road, it's really nice interacting with all you guys on DMs. I know I don't get to everyone right away because I'm super busy. But Mike and I were talking about, I was telling Mike, I feel really bad. I haven't been posting as much on social media. But it's a fact that we're all a community. The fact that we're able to, share and discuss, it just, I don't feel alone out there. So it's kind of nice.
Yeah. I think we need to have we have sound effects for our different segments.
Yeah.
I need to make a cool technoed out dance version of shameless plug. I don't know. That was kind of Mario sounding, but you know what I'm saying?
That was, now that all right. That's when he goes into like he gets a star.
I don't know. Yep. I think so.
Okay. All right. Now let's get to the important stuff. Those of you that just fast forward.
Oh, nope.
No, not the BOLOs, not yet. Here we go.
Breaking news. Mike messed up and pressed the wrong button. But the podcast is not ruined because we are bringing you the breakingest news that is broken on podcasts anywhere ever. Orlando, take it away.
All right. So I have one tip that I wanted to share from one of our listeners who always shares with us some awesome tips. Now, he does run an advanced kind of eBay Facebook group. And so he has a lot of good things to say. And so, he always shares and he says, share if you want. Like he doesn't, like this last time he actually put together a video message to us and the advantages of doing something. Because I talked about before about, the idea that I really don't know what to do with categories. Like I have no idea, like what's the point of categories in stores? I'm talking about eBay. So on eBay, like you can choose a store category, but Mike and I are big believers that you really don't convert at all from the categories. It's not like people go into your eBay store like they walk into, a retail store and they look for the sporting goods department or the Harley department or the shoes department or the board games department, right? They're just there trying to get what they want. Now, the underscore Greg Perry on Instagram had shared with us. I thought I'd share this because I think it's pretty cool that you could use those store categories to your advantage. And the way you do this is on your description. So for example, I sell Harley. I sell a lot of Harley. And most of these Harley buyers, they buy a lot of Harley stuff. Now, sometimes I do get them that just buy a bunch of my Harley stuff, but a better way, and this takes me back to old school because I haven't done this in a while, is that eBay took away the HTML, like all the HTML stuff, which I'm fine with. I think it was time to go, but you can still put links in your description. So what he shared was the idea of taking, your store category. The way I found, the easiest way that I found out about it, I don't want to get too complex into using HTML code. I'm going to give you the very basic way, is if you Google your store, right, your eBay store, and then your eBay store comes up and then you click on your category. If you copy that link, okay, and then you go to, I say Word. If you know how to hyperlink faster, I'm going to give you the easiest way to hyperlink. At least I think. Not the easiest, but the way I know how, right? You go to Word, you paste that web address, and then you highlight it, you right-click it, you click on hyperlink, and then you put the web address again where that hyperlink should go. You have a hyperlink. And then you copy and paste that into your description and you put a thing like, check out more of my Harley items, and you put the hyperlink, and then people at the end of the description, they just click there and it takes them to all your Harley items.
Yeah. And what you could also do, instead of just having it like a link where the hyperlink is https://
yeah,
you could change, if you're using Word or Google Docs, and I'm assuming it would work this way, is you can change the text that's displayed. So you can have the text say Harley gear.
True.
And then when they click on it, it's the link. So that way it's not ugly in your description of like all these random words and letters and numbers.
Correct. So the way you do that, right? You go to Word and you type in, or Google Docs or wherever, you type in Harley gear, right click, highlight it, right click, hyperlink, and then you put the web address.
Yep.
And then you copy that Harley gear, which is hyperlinked, back into your description.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. I thought it was a great tip, man. I was like, I need to go back to my 2,000 something listings and get that fixed. But I do have a solution, which I'll share at the end of how I'm going to get that done.
Nice.
So it's not as mind blowing as you would think, but
yeah, it's a good tip.
So, and no, thank you, Greg. Seriously, that takes me back in the day, people used to do that, and I don't see that on listings anymore.
Yeah, I mean that might work with my new business venture, right? If I'm selling different sizes or different quantities or different whatever,
that would be interesting. But yes, true. So everybody's like, "What is Mike selling?" So all right,
the world may never know.
Okay, now, did you notice eBay glitching this last week?
I don't know this. Okay, so maybe I should have shared this a little bit in my random stories, but we had a really, really high winds come through our area.
Oh yeah, like power outages, man.
And where I'm at, it's there's nothing around, so I'm not like I'm in the most like remote place you could be. So the wind is just howling through, And our power companies in this area literally shut off power for like, it was something crazy for a while, like 80,000 people.
I almost went to a hotel because if they shut off my power, there's no way I could function.
It was crazy. But the thing is, it's not a big deal. I'm off the grid. I have solar. I have generators. I don't need power. But when the power went out, a lot of the cell towers went down, or like coverage went down.
Yes.
Right. So literally there was times where it was like, I don't know if we're getting eBay sales right now. I have no idea if we're getting eBay messages. Like we'd have to drive into town a couple of times to get signal, because where we live, we have like 1 bar of signal. But when we're having cell issues, the signal goes way, way low and we can't get any kind of reception, and we have to drive like 10 minutes to get reception. So eBay might have been glitching, but I didn't really have lots of access.
Well, they did have an issue of managed payments, and I got to tell you, I am still not sold on managed payments. I'm not now. I am sold in the fact that PayPal is not stealing 2.9% anymore on returns. I know, Mike always thinks I'm crazy for saying that, but so they did. Now eBay did send out a message. They said there was an issue that affected payouts for a number of managed payment sellers on December 2nd. This issue has been resolved, and all affected payouts were resent on December 2nd. Now, there was more of an issue for me, though. What ended up happening was, as a result of this, a lot of my funds were like held. And then I tried to print shipping labels and it wouldn't let me buy shipping labels on eBay. So if you ever get stuck, if you're in a place where like for a reason eBay glitches and you can't buy shipping labels, what would you do, Mike? Do you know what you would do?
eBay was stuck and I couldn't do shipping labels?
Yes.
I'd probably just use pirate ship.
There we go. I mean, I know it's a simple solution, but not everybody. But I didn't think about that initially. I'm like, what is going on? And then I'm like, got pirate ship.
Yeah.
So I just went. Right. I went to pirateship.com, imported my eBay listings, printed out my labels, and it was fine. Now, and what it allows you to do is you can connect a credit card or whatever you want, and you could do that. But I will tell you, it was I was a little perturbed by it, because I'm like, this is the middle Q4. And then what ended up popping up, and I'm not trying to make this an eBay rant session. I promise you, I love eBay. eBay is a reason why I'm a full-time seller. Did you see these? Add recommended item specifics.
And not only that, and I'm sure there's a way you can go into your settings like on an iPhone. I know how to do it on my phone. But my wife, she hates when you have the little badge on an app that says like you need to open this because you have a notification, right? So there's like 1, 2, 3, and it like will like identify the fact that there's something new. She can't get rid of that now because of those. Like those count like if you get an eBay message, her app will show like you have something. I don't know, maybe you have your that notification thing off, but like hers, it's showing that, and the reason is because of those item descriptions.
I made a meme about it on Instagram, but I'm thinking what went on? Like, was it like, hey, it's the middle Q4, let's drop this right now, high five everybody, great idea. Like, no reseller at this point in time likes seeing those numbers on there. Now, they're not required. Make sure everyone understands they're not required. But my belief is if it's showing up, it's going to end up being required. So we do have a nice YouTube video that we put together about how to get that done quicker. But I'm not even messing with it. I do not have time right now to deal with that. I really hope that in the future, eBay will think about dropping this kind of info, kind of like May or June when things are kind of slow and there's not much, going on. Like, that's a great time. First week of December, probably not. Now, I want to give you guys I love eBay, by the way, but I want to give you guys an update on my Amazon. Remember my Amazon thing where it glitched, right? And actually the Amazon glitch just got fixed yesterday. Like, I can finally see sales when I will tell you, there's a psychological effect of when you're on eBay, when you're on Amazon and you're doing the swipe and then it refreshes and you're like, oh, there's a bunch more sales. There's a bunch more sales. Because it hasn't been happening until yesterday. And I remember when I'm outsourcing, like when I see those numbers go up, I want to buy more. Because I'm like, there's more money to be made. So it finally got fixed. But anyways, I know some of you can resonate with me there. Now, it's same with eBay. Like, if you keep getting cha-chings, you want to source more, right? Because you're like, hey, there's more money to be made. Now, on Amazon, I had mentioned how I had a bunch of cancellations, and it put the whole store, my whole Amazon store at risk. Said you're at risk of deactivation. And I'm kind of shocked, but Amazon took care of it. Like within a day, I looked at my feedback and I was back at 100%. They cleared out every single cancellation I had. So I guess on that day, if there was ever a day that you could really mess up on Amazon and do a bunch of cancellations, that was the day. So they took care of it. I'm all good. I'm 100%. I'm fine. And I really appreciated that. I mean, because I always get after Amazon for always dropping the hammer. So far, they haven't dropped the hammer at all. There's a couple listings where, here's a funny one. There was an Amazon listing where the item was selling for more from the Amazon warehouse that sells Amazon returns from Amazon than it was brand new from Amazon. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So you could get an item cheaper cheaper new than used. So anyways, but that's my Amazon thing. So, but here's the thing. Whenever there's glitches, there's always ways around it. There's always ways to work things out, and we were able to continue moving forward. All right. Let's see here. Oh, I don't know. How do you feel about this? So now on eBay, you can set your weekend shipping and handling days on eBay. So before, you only used to be able to do Monday through Friday. And you don't do same day, right? You do one day?
One day, yeah.
One day, right? But you can have like a cutoff time, right? So if I do same day, so my same day, my cutoff time is by 1 p.m. People buy by 1 p.m. I will ship out that same day. It all depends on, what works best for you. But on the weekends, there's no way of doing that, right? So it kind of levels out the playing field for everybody because everybody has technically the same day handling. And so now you're able to set it on the weekends. And so people are able to determine. So now it says, now you can specify in your shipping preferences if you work Saturday and Sunday and set specific handling cutoff times for those days. Your weekend ship dates and faster delivery times will be reflected in your shipping estimates. What do you think about that, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, anything to give you an edge, right?
There's a part of me that's hesitant about it because I like how the delivery window, I guess because I've been taking advantage of it during this time of COVID and Q4, where it's bigger than usual until I always get that nice feedback of your stuff gets here really fast. Mm-hmm. Where now, if I tighten it, like I don't know if people are going to say the same anymore.
Yeah, could be. I mean, people are always going to be happy when stuff comes quickly. And you're going to have a competitive edge if you're saying like, I'm going to be shipping, over the weekend at certain times. But you could also kind of say, I don't do that. I mean, as long as not every seller is doing that and that's the norm, it's not going to hurt you,
Yeah, I'm a big fan of under promising, right? And over delivering.
So you could basically say like, you'll get your item within 6 months. And then when it gets there in 3 days, like normal, how about you promise what you can deliver? That's the best, right?
I mean, I'm obviously going to change it, but it was nice like on Saturdays where I didn't have that. And so when people got their items that I sent priority on Saturday on a Monday, they were really happy. Or now if I'm going to ship this day, they're going to expect it anyways, I don't know. Let us know your thoughts. All right. Now, this is the dark side of eBay right now I'm about to share. Not eBay's fault. But, we've been talking about the PS5s and, scalpers and all that. And this is a thing now. So eBay is going after PS5 photo scammers. So let me explain to you what this is. Do you kind of have an idea of what's happening here?
Just from the title, I'd imagine that people are selling photos as if like to make it so you can list that you have something you don't have. Is that what it is?
Correct. And there's still listings that are live.
But why would somebody buy that? You could just copy and paste somebody's photo.
So here's one that's sold. Okay. So this sold for $4,050. Obviously the person didn't pay. And the message is selling pictures of the PS5. Great for scalpers. If you're a human, don't purchase. Right. So it's going after the bots.
Oh, I see okay. So then
there's that side. There's the justice side. But here's a listing right now. Right now it is on eBay. It is live. It says PS5 digital version, picture only, read description. And it's a PS5 picture. It's not even like a picture. It's a screenshot from an iPhone of a PS5. And they're selling it for $489.
Hey, you know what I mean? Like it's art. Who's to say that this isn't like, I don't know what everybody's views on art are, but like if a banana on a wall can be art, like I took a picture of a PS5 on my bed and I want to sell that picture because to me, this is art. But obviously, we know what they're doing. Here's the thing. I remember this back when Xbox, like when the first Xbox came out, and it was like same thing. Scalpers obviously is a little bit different, but people were buying them up. I mean, this is what we do, right? You go to a Target, you go to a Walmart, you buy one or two of them if you can, and you sell them. You go on Black Friday to get the deal, and you sell it for more on eBay. And I remember that there were people selling Xbox boxes, and because it's such a similar sounding name, like it's an Xbox, so people were selling, this is an Xbox box, and people would just see Xbox, and it was like, I'm buying this Xbox.
It's just not okay. Like, look at the description. So they said, read the description. Let me read the description on this listing. PS5 digital, parentheses, picture, parentheses, read description. This is literally a picture of a PS5. You're not getting a console. You're not getting a box with a PS5 inside it. There are no returns. This is a picture of a PS5 in an envelope you will get. Literally no console.
I mean, how can they be attacked though? Like anybody who, I mean, I guess if your grandparent is going on to buy and they don't read the description, but when we sell stuff, it's like, hey, selling this untested, or there's a hole in the pants and we show a picture of it, right? Like, read the description, know what you're getting.
Yeah, but that's a little different than I think it hurts buyer confidence.
Does it when it says in there? I mean, look, I'm not saying that this is a good thing. I would never do this. I think the people who are doing it is, whatever. But the reality is it that, like, is it enough for eBay? Like, if eBay goes after and shuts these people down, I would say, is that worth shutting them down for? Like, you can do whatever you want. Like, I could sell my fingernail clippings if I wanted to, right? Like,
is that your new venture? Did you just leak that out?
It's not. But I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I bet you celebrities could. A celebrity could say, like, this is Brad Pitt's hair. This is Brad Pitt's, hair that he cut or whatever. Like, so if somebody wants to sell a picture, like, people can buy whatever they want to buy, and people can list stuff. And I don't know. To me, it would be more of a scam if they were selling something they didn't have, or they were hiding it in there. But like, if they're being very clear, like, is it the right thing to do? I wouldn't encourage it. But is it like, would I say, like, these people need to go to jail? Like, no, it's not that big of a deal.
It needs to go. It just hurts eBay. It just hurts us as sellers, because
I could see that.
I think about it.
You're not getting that on Amazon. So I understand that.
Let's say you're a parent and you're just quickly, like, you see a deal and you're really excited, and you just click on. How many times have people bought stuff from you and not read the description or gone to the second picture? I've had it happen a lot. And so now, granted, if I were to spend that much money, I probably would do all those things. Like, I wouldn't just randomly hit buy it now. But anyways, man, I was kind of shocked that I found that. Like,
I think it's kind of funny.
Yeah, no, it is. There's some humor in there. So
it's hilarious. I wonder how many things we could do that of, sell pictures of stuff. Here's a picture of a book. But it's PS5. I don't think you'd get as much traction. That's what I'm saying. Like, but who knows? Like, just go crazy. They had to pay for the listing, right? And is it against eBay's policy? That's the thing. Is if it's against eBay's policy, then I'd say they can go after them. But if they're going to have disciplinary action for something that's not against their policy, that's would be like, all right, look, like I said, what
do you guys think? Do you think there should be disciplinary action there?
And I get and just to be fair, I try and think of both sides here. I see why, okay, like, this might give eBay a bad rep, right? Like, you can never know what you're going to get on eBay. And so we want customers to feel safe, because then that means more customers are going to buy on eBay, which means more money ultimately in our pocket. So can this hurt us? Sure. But at the same time, I think it's more of a funny troll than anything. But I don't know if there's people selling a whole bunch of these and they are scamming people. I mean, I'd feel bad. Like, if this was me and I did that and I got $500 and this person's like, I need this money. Like, I was trying to buy my kid a PS. How do you not refund them? Like, that's what I wonder. If they even sell one of those, like, how do you not refund somebody?
No refunds at all. So, okay. Hey, I want to get into other reseller topics, but we did say we would buy a bulk thing if we got a bunch of, I think
you said 20.
20. Okay. So I remember going to answer some of the comments, like, whoa, this is the most interactive one we've had. And then I forgot that, like, that's why. So
did we get 20?
So I'm going to count them right now on air. Is that a bad idea? So it's a bad idea.
That's a lot of dead air.
Well, real quick. 1, 2.
Don't have to yell.
Two. I don't think we got 23, 4, 5, 6. Ooh, suspense 7, 8, 9.
Oh, not even close.
So we still may do it though.
Yeah,
we still might do it.
We saw one person that mentioned this might be just a good tip for you. Again, always feel free to interact in the chat because a lot of people drop great knowledge in the chat.
They do. That is true.
So somebody recommended, hey, don't do the used or the uninspected returns. That they've done it and it tends to be all broken stuff. Do the new item. So do the bulk new item. So obviously you've got to figure out your own risk to reward, ratio. What's going to work for you? But at least one person has encouraged us not to do the used because it's broken item. So let us know below. Have you experienced the same? Have you done a bulk box? What was your experience?
All right. So I want to end on a reseller topic. So Amazon says that this year's holiday shopping period was the biggest in its history. And I believe it. I think all across all platforms. And by the way, we haven't hit peak. So I talk about this all the time, but the sweet spot is 2 weeks before Christmas. Usually it's like the first 2 weeks of December, but our calendar is a little different. So for me, it's like December 10 through, because December 10th is on a Thursday. So let's say December 11th. Usually a lot of people buy stuff on the weekend. So my belief is that from December 11 all the way through the 20th, it's just going to be crazy sales. So I'm looking at it, right? December 11th is a Friday. And then December 18th is a Friday. So that's plenty of time for people to order and get items. So there's this sweet spot of time that there's plenty to be made. And I'm looking at the data here. So look at Amazon says that, here it goes. One Wall Street firm estimated that Amazon captured 42 cents of every dollar spent during this past busy shopping period. 40, that's about half of everything was bought on Amazon. That is crazy to me. And what was crazier too was on Black Friday, if you take a look at last year's data, it says the flood of online shopping was bad news for many brick and mortar locations as many consumers remain cautious about making trips to crowded stores and malls. Foot traffic to stores on Black Friday dropped by 52% compared with last year.
Yeah. The thing, I'm as pro-capitalism, I think, as anybody I know. And so I'm not the kind of person who's going to say but that's not fair to everybody else. But at the same time, I just worry that some of this is brought on due to lockdowns and due to places being forced to close their doors. And not that mom and pop shops are ever going to be able to compete with Amazon or maybe even provide the same kind of quality to their customers in the sense of, if things are cheaper, if everything is cheaper, then you have more money in your pocket. And that's a good thing for you. However, if all of these companies, these private, smaller places, these brick and mortar places, not even small places. I walked them all the other day. My wife had to get her ring inspected and it was half of the stores were not just closed, but empty. Like I've never seen anything like it. It was like a ghost town. And those are people's jobs. Those are people. And so you kind of wonder, this, there's good news to it that there's move towards online and there's benefits to that. But at the same time, is it just at the expense of these brick and mortar stores because the lockdowns? Not that they weren't actually keeping up and they weren't providing the right service, because a lot of times you hear okay, Walmart's moving into a town, it's going to close all the small mom and pop shops. And I think there's good arguments on both sides. And I think that it actually provides a lot of benefit to the town when a big business moves in. However, when it's not because the mom and pop shops didn't have a chance to provide the right kinds of service or provide the items and lower their prices, but they literally just, sorry, you don't get to operate. That kind of sucks.
No, I agree. And, I think that has a lot to do with it. I think the other side is buyers' habits have changed, right? We talked about that before on the podcast, how during the pandemic, most people said that now that they've understood how they can get stuff right to their door and pretty quick, that they're more likely to buy online. And so this is just an evidence of that. And again, I'm expecting, I've been saying this for months, that this is probably going to be the biggest Q4 ever. And I'm still anticipating saying that. And one example I know is that I have items that are ranked, above 10K, which is a pretty awesome rank. But those items usually it'd be an hour, 2 hours, maybe, a handful a day. No, it is within the moment I drop it to its lowest price, gone. Like it just done. So I don't know how high that goes. It used to be that for items that were ranked below 1,000 on Amazon, like stuff would sell instantly. I'm finding that it's up in the 10 to 20,000. Like there's so much that is selling, and that's before peak. So I can only imagine what it's going to be next week with items that are out there. So if you have the opportunity to go source, go list on eBay, go, merchant fulfilled, whatever you can to make things happen. All right. Are you ready?
Yeah, this time I'm going to hit the right button.
Bolo. What's your bolo? Nope.
How you didn't do it?
Not even going to try to lip sync.
Shame you enough?
Nope.
I'm really good at that. I feel like shame is a powerful motivator.
Wow. Okay.
I'm just kidding. So
what's your bolo?
What's my bolo? So when I first started reselling, one of the things you told me you stay away from, and I definitely understand why. So I'm going to give this bolo with some caveats. But you said you stayed away from like baby stuff, right? Like baby things, because just the liability issues, right? If something happens, you don't know if there's recalls on certain items, and it's just that, and like healthcare products. Those are just things we've tried to stay away from. However, I'm okay with selling new in box baby stuff, because to me it's like selling anything new in box. What I find is I'm able to get my hands on quite a few like baby monitors, baby sleeping, like pad things to tell if they're moving, baby cameras. Those types of things are new in box, pretty easy to find. And I think the reason why is because people get this stuff for like baby showers and they have a whole bunch of them, and maybe they got two and they didn't want to take one back. And it's like, oh, did I get the gift receipt? Or maybe I didn't. I don't want to ask them for a gift receipt. Or they're like, yeah, I'll use this. And they put it in a box and they never end up using it. So a lot of times I'll go to a garage sale, or I'll be at the thrift store and I'll see like new in box baby monitors of various types. And they tend to sell pretty well. Like I tend to do good on those. And I don't know if it's because you can get them cheap off Amazon for like newer models. But I think some people, they're maybe they have their second or their third kid and they're like, oh, I really like that baby monitor we used to have. And they look it up on eBay and they want the same one.
Or they don't want to spend as much as they did on the first kid.
Yeah, I mean, that could be. But even still, like I said, like that's what's the weird thing. So, like with things like that, like you can get like a brand new baby monitor, like the newest model on Amazon for like $29.99. Or you can go to eBay and get the old 5-year model that I have for $29.99. And people still buy that one. And I'm like,
yeah, it is interesting.
But some people know what they like. They're familiar with one. They're like, we loved this one, I'm going to get it. Or who knows why? Maybe some people just shop on eBay, and they're like, I'm buying something for my friend, and so they're going to get it on eBay. But my bolo is new in box, baby monitors. There's a few different types, like just the ones that you can listen to. I've also sold a couple of the ones that like clip onto a baby's like diaper. So if they stop moving for a certain period of time, it alarms.
Those existed.
Yeah, I got one of these. So my son, when he was born, he was in the NICU for 8 days, and he had some breathing issues. And so I'm not like the helicopter type parent that was like super concerned, like, oh, something's gonna go wrong. But because of that, when we took him home from the NICU, I was like, I want something, because they kept telling us like every couple of hours, go check his breathing. And it's like, that's a scary thing,
Yeah,
so we found these things that would like clip onto a diaper. And it basically, as they breathe, it moves up and down. And if it ever doesn't move for like a certain amount of time, it's like 10 seconds or something like that, an alarm goes off. Right. So, and it went off a couple of times, and it was always just because it fell off the diaper. But it's just that peace of mind that helped us sleep. So those have sold. I've sold several of those, and just the ones it's like the audio, so you can listen to them. So check out baby monitors. And again, Orlando has great points with be careful with the types of things you're comfortable selling. If you're selling something like that, you might not be comfortable with, because you might think, hey, this is somebody they're kind of putting, a lot of trust in. Do you want to be responsible for something like that? So you got to know your risk ratio, or your risk threshold.
Is it risk aversion?
Yeah. Well, the threshold you're willing to go to.
I don't know. I just don't know.
You're a little bit, you have some risk aversion when it comes to infant stuff.
Oh yeah. Sure. I won't touch it. So, but there's a lot of money to be made though that I'm missing out on. So, all right. So my bolo is kind of a reseller topic. So what, have you sold a Flowbee before?
I don't know. What's a Flowbee?
So Flowbee is like that vacuum thing that like it sucks up your hair and it cuts it.
Oh.
And it's yellow and black. And that's why it's called Flowbee, like B-E.
Got it.
So I've shared the story before. Remember that one garage sale story where I bought a Flowbee and a guy randomly came up to me and like grabbed it out of my hand. And I'm like, what are you doing? This is mine. He's like, no, this is mine. I'm like, no, I just bought it. He's like, no, that wasn't supposed to be sold to you. I'm like, oh, so sorry. I've told that story on the podcast. Yeah. So I wish I had Flowbee right now in my hand, because the last Flowbee I think I sold it complete. So Flowbee it doesn't come with the vacuum because you hook it up to a vacuum, but it comes with, the hose and the just, the engine and all that. And then it comes with like different clippers, right? Are they called clippers or whatever? The different settings.
Hair guards.
The hair guards. That's what it is. The hair guards. Right. And so, I sold it for about $130 and I paid $10 for the last one. And I sold that during COVID, and they were good money. They were BOLOs back then, but now they are super BOLOs. And this is why always pay attention to cultural trends. So, George Clooney, right? Kind of like, it kind of looks like me a little bit. So George Clooney.
You guys can all put the LOL in the comments and we'll all know exactly why.
If he shaved his head, though, maybe. All right. So George Clooney was on Jimmy Kimmel, and I don't know the whole context. This is from, now it's on several news sites. I picked the most reliable one, TMZ. So TMZ, because it deals with celebrities.
Bastion of journalistic integrity.
Actually, they may be. Who knows? All right. So George Clooney was on Jimmy Kimmel, and he showed him how to use a Flowbee, right? And how it works. And he actually used it on air. And as a result of that public shout out, the company, the new ones that we're selling are all sold out, completely sold out. So I'm like, what, so they're reporting this. Here, let me read. Said Troy Hunt, vice president of Flowbee, tells TMZ the actor's public shout out in support of the product last week resulted in sales going up tenfold, right? And its website was so overloaded, a lot of customers weren't able to complete their orders. That's intense. Like, if you think about those of you that grew up in the 90s, like those Flowbee commercials were hilarious. Like, who used Flowbee? I mean, I know some of us did. I didn't, but I know friends that did. Now, Hunt says Flowbee had already seen a boost in 2020 compared to recent years due to the coronavirus, with barbershops and hair salons closed, but that uptick was nothing compared to what he's calling the Clooney effect. The Flowbee VP tells us they've completely sold out and it will be at least 2 to 4 weeks before they can get supply up to meet demand. As for the Clooney boom, Hunt says it has a huge surprise because the company hasn't worked with him before and they didn't even know he was a customer, which is true. Like, I would think George Clooney is like paying some super rich, like, bringing him to his house to cut his hair, right? But George Clooney on COVID, like that's an interesting one. Now, I was like, okay, I'm wondering like what Flowbees are going for on eBay. So I looked it up last night and I was blown away. Now, remember, I had said that Flowbees, when the last one I sold was for about $130. Now, if you go to comps now, the most recent, okay, used, this isn't even new. This is used. Okay. Here's one open box that sold on December 7th for $480. Here's another pre-owned for $620.
Jeez.
$275, $356, $300, $364, $749.99. I mean, obviously some have more than others.
Yeah.
But these, I'm looking at some other basic ones and they're still selling for good money. Even, the hair guards, all of it. So
what the Flowbee is going on here?
I know. So that is a BOLO.
Yeah.
Especially if they can't restock for 2 to 4 weeks. This is the hottest BOLO we've ever dropped. Right? Because if you can get your hands on a Flowbee, I know everybody now is getting, I did it already. I put my search settings on, all these things to try to get Flowbees going. I just don't have the time because of Amazon. So I'm not going to be pursuing them. But if you got the time and you're in a town and you have the advantage that there aren't a lot of resellers or, not a lot of people are using technology to find things, there's your BOLO.
Yeah. I mean, garage sale it up. You might find some Flowbees. I'm here for the, people pull up. Do you have any jewelry? They're going to just like pull up, roll your window down. You got a Flowbee? And then you're just going to drive off.
It's true, man. I just wish, because I actually went into my death piles because I have several totes of stuff I haven't listed. I know it's sad for me to admit that. And I went through there. I'm like, maybe there's no Flowbee. I was kind of sad.
Unbelievable. So, there you go.
All right. So what are you looking forward to here?
I'm looking forward to taking the next steps in my business venture. That's what I'm looking forward to. And I don't mean to be so cryptic about it because, again, like I said, I just don't want to kill the market, but I do think I'm going to be sharing more as the journey goes. So stay tuned, and it's interesting for sure. But I'm looking forward to it because there's a lot of processes in place. Like I need to, there's naming involved, there's infrastructure involved, there's lots that are going to go into this, but I think this might be the niche. This might be it.
All right. I'm interested. I'm interested for the journey. So, okay. So remember how I was renting out the cargo van?
I'm buying it.
No, I'm not. Not yet. But I'm renting it for another week.
Just think of how much you've spent in rentals. You could have bought one. You could have probably bought like an old E150.
Yeah, but the problem is most of the time I've rented vans this past year, it's been out of town when I fly into different towns. So unless I could, I'm a big fan of just flying into a town and renting a minivan and loading up. Right? I'm not a fan. If it's within California, I don't mind driving everywhere, but I don't want to drive across states. I'd rather fly across states. I know that sounds so bougie, but I got airline miles from my Amazon purchases.
Yeah, George Clooney over here flying first class.
There you go. All right, now, I'm actually, this is gonna be weird. I'm actually possibly hiring a helper here soon.
Oh, nice! You're gonna hire an employee for
a helper. Yep. So somebody had reached out to me and said, Orlando, I think this is a perfect candidate. And everything sounded great. So I'm meeting with this person or giving them a call over the next week. I know it's right in the middle of Q4. So I may not put, this individual to work until things settle down, but I'm excited about it because, I've said this before. I need help. I need help in many ways, but I need help in my reselling business because I think I'm at a point where I can only scale so much. And I was kind of scaling before with a helper, and COVID took that all away. And now I'm back to, and it's somebody that I feel is responsible, will do the work that's necessary. We'll have a quick turnaround time, so I'll be able to scale faster. And so I'm looking forward to that. And the other thing is, with my van, being that I can't send out any FBA shipments, my van has a power outlet, and I shared this on Instagram that I can actually print labels on the road. Now, I'm not going to be doing that during the daytime just because I'd rather print out stuff in the hotel. So I'm actually going to take merchant fulfilled sales on the road. So I'm only going to be sourcing things that I know will sell instantly, like within the minute, within the day. And I'm seeing if I can make it, because I've never, listen, to be real, once December 14, 15 happened, I kind of stopped with Amazon. I didn't do merchant fulfilled all the way until the 20th. I just did FBA because I felt it was, I think merchant fulfilled is exhausting, but the fact that there's so much opportunity right now, I got to capitalize on this. So I'm going to see what I can make happen, and hopefully it'll be worth, and here's the thing. The van only cost me about 300 something more for another week. And all I have to do is sell, a few items, and I'm good already. So nice. It'll be good. So we'll see what happens.
I like it.
All right. We're all busy. Hopefully you guys are all busy. Hopefully sales are coming in. And so appreciate your support. Appreciate your help. Appreciate you tuning in. And with that being said, make sure to be real,
be relevant,
and be reselling. Peace.